sorry.
No, it was, sorry, I have, it's 249 at the end, at the beginning of the page. Here are your orders.
Okay, all right. Claudia, this is chapter 18. Let me tell you how many pages from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Gabby, do you know?
8.
Which
More or
is-
less,
I think it's
8 pages.
214.
And
Okay,
14 in your edition. And
My
Claudia,
edition.
it is more or less 8 pages from the
Okay.
beginning of the chapter. And the paragraph begins, here are your orders. He had told him. Well, for those who were not here, we were in a kind of flashback that Robert Jordan had when he was in Madrid, the battle in Madrid, before the moment the book takes place. And he's remembering an economist, a famous economist who always wrote about Spain and who he admired. But when he met this man in Madrid during the battle, the man was terrified, hiding behind a wall and waiting for a tank, he said, that was going to come and rescue him. And it wasn't a tank, because as Robert says, they called anything a tank.
It was a car disguised as a tank.
That's right. It was an armored car. And the one who drove that car was dead on the wheel. So that's why the car didn't move. But the other one didn't want to move from his place because he was afraid. And so Robert had to push him away and take the place to move the car, because the two men were terrified. Yes, Teresa, you were going to say something.
Yes, because the one who was alive of the fake car didn't want to touch the driver.
The other one. Yes.
He was completely terrified.
Terrified. And this was an example that Robert Jordan, in a way, remembered to show that the people who fought during this battle, especially Spanish people, were not prepared for the battle, that they didn't know anything about, they were not soldiers. They didn't have any instruction. And as we read before, these people who fought there, they were sent later to Moscow or to Russia to receive instruction, military instruction. And now they are back with, of course, more, better instruction, etc. And that's why he remembers some of them as the ones I sent you the pictures of. Yes, Valentino, Vicente, I don't remember, I always mixed up his name, who became great leaders. But before, they became great leaders after receiving instruction in Russia. So this is the episode when Robert is alone with this economist and the two peasants, the two soldiers, let's say, who don't want to move because they are so, this man is so terrified, and Montero, the other one, the economist, is also terrified. So he pushes him and he says, here are your orders, simply by pointing a gun at him. There is no ammunition for the machine gun. We have ammunition at the bull ring. Come on, let's go. We will fill the belts there. Come on. There is no one to work the gun, the driver said. Where is he? Where is your mate? Dead. Inside there. Get him out of there. I do not like to touch him. So, this is exactly what we were saying. And he's bent over the gun and the wheel, and I cannot get past him. Come on, we will get him out together. So, you see that this.
Sorry, but
yes.
I think that they have not experienced.
No.
Because it was the beginning of the war. Until
That moment,
it was the Republic.
Of course, this
But
is
in 36, it begins the fight.
yes, this was the beginning. This was 1934. When the
yes.
Battle of Madrid took place was 1934. And as you say, this is the beginning. So they are very, you know, ignorant about the questions of the battle. And if we remember
Yes.
Anselmo also had said that the only time he had been in a battle, he only ran and ran and ran away. You remember that he said that he was also, you know, impressed by the situation, no? So these people have no experience. This is the first, let's say, encounter with death and battle and all of that. While the others, remember that the one who tried to recover Madrid was Franco, who was coming from Morocco. And he came from Morocco with German troops. So it was different. You see, the others were real soldiers and with good equipment, but the ones in Spain were, you know, simply peasants who...
Yes. That's the reason, because they were sent to Russia.
Exactly. They had no experience. They were very ignorant of the rules of the war. And some paragraphs later, in the paragraph that says, "I do not want to touch him," the driver had said, and Robert Jordan had seen that he was crying.
Yes.
Yes. So you see, this is a picture of the situation, no, in Madrid at that time. So finally, of course, in the 2 paragraphs later, just then he had seen this man who had come out from the lee of the apartment house building. He had on a long overcoat, and he was bareheaded, and his hair was gray, his cheekbones broad, and his eyes were deep and set close together. He had a package of Chesterfields in his hand, and he took one out and handed it toward Robert Jordan, who was pushing the driver into the armored car with his pistol. "Just a minute, comrade," he had said to Robert Jordan in Spanish. "Can you explain to me something about the fighting?" This is The Economist, you know. So out of the blue, you have this civilian who appears smoking and who wants to know something. Robert Jordan took the cigarette and put it in the breast pocket of his blue mechanic jumper. He had recognized this comrade from his pictures. It was the British Economist. So, of course, what does he answer? "Go mac yourself." Yes? Because this is not the moment to ask questions. You know, this is, I mean, the situation was not for the man to ask questions.
And Robert Jordan's reaction is explained in the last line when he speaks about hatred among those who are non-combatant and combatants. The way he reacted with the Economist.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So precisely in the paragraph later that says later that night, yes, later that night, when they had the last houses on the hill, he lay comfortable behind a brick wall with a hole knocked in the bricks for a loophole and looked across the beautiful level field of fire they had between them and the reach the fascists had retired to, and thought, with a comfort that was almost voluptuous, of the rise of the hill with the smashed villa that protected the left flank. He had lain in a pile of straw in his sweat-soaked clothes and wound a blanket around him while he dried. Lying there, he thought of The Economist and laughed, and then felt sorry he had been rude. But at the moment when the man had handed him the cigarette, pushing it out almost like offering a tip for information, the combatant's hatred for the non-combatant had been too much for him. Yes, because after the battle, of course, they won the battle. They, let's say, kept Madrid. Franco couldn't enter Madrid finally, but at a very heavy cost. A lot of people died. So at night, when the battle had finished and Robert started thinking about all that day, he remembered The Economist, and he regretted having been so rude. But at that moment, he felt hatred for him, because instead of helping or taking part in the battle, he was asking questions. No. Well, so this is all that he was remembering. This was the flashback when he was thinking of Gaylord's. You remember Gaylord's is the hotel where the Russians were. This place, as I told you, does not exist any longer now. So now he remembered Gaylord's and Kharkov speaking of this same man. So it was there you met him, Kharkov had said. I did not get further than the Puente de Toledo myself on that day. He was very far toward the front. That was the last day of his bravery, I believe. Because The Economist left Madrid after that, of course. He went back to I imagine I would have done the same. He left Madrid the next day. Toledo was where he was the bravest, I believe. At Toledo, he was enormous. He was one of the architects of our capture of the Alcázar. You should have seen him at Toledo. I believe it was largely through his efforts and his advice that our siege was successful. That was the silliest, sorry, what is this? That was the silliest part of the war. It reached an ultimate in silliness, but tell me, what is thought of him in America? In America, Robert Jordan said, he's supposed to be very close to Moscow.
Sí, ¿pudiste publicar esto?
So, the people
Pedí el expediente.
in America,
Esa-
and not only in
Es a través
America,
del expediente.
also in England,
Los pedí.
they thought that this economist was a communist, no, and that his opinion about Madrid, etc., was because he was a red. He's not, said Kharkov. As I told you last time, remember that this Kharkov, who was, I mean, an important journalist in Russia, was one of the people that Stalin killed. Yes, he was a victim of Stalin's purge. So I also sent you his story and also his photograph, etc. No? So he's not, said Kharkov, but he had a wonderful face. Now, with my face, I could do nothing. What little I have accomplished was all done in spite of my face, which does not either inspire people nor move them to love me and to trust me. But this man, Mitchell, has a face he makes his fortune with. It is the face of a conspirator. All who have read of conspirators in books trust him instantly. Also, he has the true manner of the conspirator. Well, remember that this economist really existed too. Yes. So I also sent you some information about him and the photograph for you to see his face, to see if you can think of his face as the face of a conspirator. Well, and then they talk. They remember that Robert Jordan, Hemingway, in this case, admired this Kharkov very much. And so there are many mentionings of Kharkov and their dialogues. And there they say, he says, Nunley, in the same page, but later on, the paragraph that says, has he no connections in Moscow? None. Listen, Comrade Jordan, do you know about the two kinds of fools? No, the two kinds of fools we have in Russia. And then he gives a very funny explanation. First, there is the fool, the winter fool.
Winter fool.
The winter fool comes to the door and you see him there and you have never seen him before. He is an impressive sight. He's a very big man and he has on high boots and a fur coat and a fur hat, and he is all covered with snow. First, he stamps his boots and snow falls from them. Then he takes off his fur coat and shakes it and more snow falls. Then he takes off his fur hat and knocks it against the door. More snow falls from his fur hat. Then he stamps his boots again and advances into the room. Then you look at him and you see he is a fool. That is the winter fool. Now, in the summer, you see a fool going down the street and he's waving his arms and jerking his head from side to side, and everybody from 200 yards away can tell he is a fool. That is a summer fool. This economist is a winter fool. So somebody you don't recognize at the beginning because he's all covered, yes, with a hat and coats and boots and all that. So he doesn't show that he is a fool. The summer fool is evidently a fool. No, so this economist was somebody who hid his foolishness. Well, who appears now? Agustin, our beloved. Sorry. No. Well, they talk about his face again, his face of conspirator. And he says his face and his invaluable trick of just having come from somewhere else where he's very trusted and important. You know, the Spanish are very strange. Again, whenever Kharkov or Jordan make a comment or, you know, about the Spanish people, these comments are very funny, and at the same time, they are very intelligent. You know, the Spanish are very strange. This government has had much money, much gold. They will give nothing to their friends. You are a friend, all right. You will do it for nothing and should not be rewarded. But to people representing an important firm or a country which is not friendly, but must be influenced, to such people they give much. It is very interesting when you follow it closely, no? So how the Spanish government managed their money, not giving their money to the ones who helped them, but to the others, to convince them to, you know, to become their allies. I do not like it. Also, that money belongs to the Spanish workers. Again, Jordan always speaking, yes, for the workers, for the peasants. His ideals are very clear, no? You are not supposed to like things, only to understand. Again,
Yes, because Kharkov is more intelligent. He
Yes.
understood the politics questions, but
yes,
the other no.
and he acts as a teacher, no? For evidently,
Yes.
when Hemingway was with Kharkov, in real life, with the real Kharkov, he had acted as a teacher for Hemingway, no? Hemingway was young, and he was a reporter, the same as Kharkov, but Kharkov was older and with much more experience, no? That's why you are not supposed to like things, only to understand. I think that many journalists should follow this principle now, no? Instead of giving opinion, only try to understand, because they always tell us the things that happen from their own, you know, point of view, trying to influence your view.
Are you talking about the journalists nowadays?
Yes, that's why I
yes,
say that.
I agree.
This line, yes, you are not supposed to like things, only to understand.
Yes, it's important to understand. That's all. Yes, to like or not is subjective.
That's right. Yes, this is why I
Yes.
say this is a very good piece of advice for journalists today,
Yes.
not only there.
But it's more complex because understand something sometimes depends to the ideology.
Well, but this is the problem. You may understand and give, an account of what is happening,
Yes.
without telling you what to do, because now
Yes.
they even tell you what to do. No, they are not journalists. They are commentators, I would say.
Yes.
That is a difference. They go on talking about language, about Spanish, and that is also a topic in this book, no? The question of the language. Hemingway has paid a lot of attention to the language itself and the importance of language. And he says later on, there are many countries where Spanish is spoken, Kharkov had said.
Yeah.
They cannot all be as difficult to do anything with as Spain is. Then you must remember that you have not been a professor now for almost 9 months. In 9 months, you may have learned a new trade. How much dialectics have you read? I have read the Handbook of Marxism that Emil Burns edited. That is all. If you have read it all, that is quite a little. There are 1,500 pages and you could spend some time on each page. But there are some other things you should read. There is no time to read now. I know, Kharkov had said. I mean, eventually. There are many things to read which will make you understand some of these things that happen. But out of this will come a book which is very necessary, which will explain many things which it is necessary to know. Perhaps I will write it. I hope that it will be me who will write it. This is interesting, no? Because when Hemingway left Spain, and I will send you this information this week, he went to Cuba and he started writing short stories. 2 or 3 short stories, which, I mean, came out as short stories. But then he realized when he was writing these stories that instead of short stories, he should write this novel. And he wrote it there in Cuba, yes? This is the book he wanted to write to explain many things. And this is why critics say that in this novel, he is not so partial. Although
Cuban said that he was not communist.
Well, claro.
According to Cubans, Hemingway is not communist because the novel is show the good things, the bad things of the Civil War. And for Cubans, maybe this is unacceptable.
Exactly. Well, remember that at the beginning of communism in Russia, the only art that was allowed was the art that promoted communism. Yes, the sculptures, the paintings, and
Yes.
even the music had to be,
Yes.
well, I don't know, popular or whatever they called it, no?
Cinema and all.
Cinema also, yes. So this novel would not enter that group because it is...
No.
They show some good aspects of the fascists too, when especially in connection with the people, with the soldiers that took place in the battle, no?
Yes.
As human beings, let's say. Remember when Anselmo...
The point of view is more humanist than political.
Exactly.
He tried to understand
the war,
no?
And the people.
The war on people and different situations, but
yes, exactly. So that's why this. Perhaps I will write it. I hope that it will be me who will write it. Yes, is precisely what Hemingway decided to do when he was in Cuba after writing 3 short stories. No. That in a way are also the short stories deal with the Spanish War, no?
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yes.
It is 6 minutes before the meeting ends.
We go back. We go back
immediately.
Yes, to the same link.
Okay. Thank you.
Well. I don't know who could write it better. Do not flatter, Kharkov had said. I am a journalist, but like all journalists, I wish to write literature. Just now, I am very busy on a study of Calvo Sotelo. He was a very good fascist, a true Spanish fascist. Franco and these other people are not. I have been studying all of Sotelo's writings and speeches. He was very intelligent, and it was very intelligent that he was killed. This I also sent
It
you.
was true. Calvo Sotelo was
Yes, yes.
a good fascist.
A good
Yes.
fascist, yes. I
Yeah.
also sent you the information about Carlos Sotelo, I think, if I am. Yes, I sent it. And so it is interesting, no? This is, again, Kharkov, who was a Russian, who was a communist, could admire Calvo Sotelo in spite of the fact that he was a fascist, no? And that's why he says it was very intelligent that he was killed, because obviously he was, I mean, a good element for the fascists, no?
Dangerous for all of them, for the
Yes.
fascists and for the Republicans too,
For the
because he was
Republicans.
very, very intelligent.
Very intelligent, and pay attention to Franco and these other people are not. Yes, Calvo Sotelo was a true Spanish fascist. Franco and these other people are not. This is also very strong. Well, I thought that you did not believe in political assassination. And look, because later on, Kharkov was a victim of political assassination, yes, Stalin. It is practiced very extensively, very, very extensively. But we do not believe in acts of terrorism by individuals, Kharkov has smiled. Not, of course, by criminal terrorists and counter-revolutionary organizations. We detest with horror the duplicity and villainy of the murderous hyenas of Bakranit wreckers and such dregs of humanity as Zinoviev, Kamenev, Rykov, and their henchmen. We hate and loathe these veritable friends, but I still believe that political assassination can be said to be practiced very extensively. All these people mentioned here were Russians who got killed, yes, by the political power. You mean I mean nothing, but certainly we execute and destroy such veritable fiends, and dregs of humanity, and the treacherous dogs of generals, and the revolting spectacle of admirals unfaithful to their trust. These are destroyed, they are not assassinated. You see the difference? So no, I mean, the difference is, I mean, for me, impossible to see, no? But for Russians, there is a difference. Later on, Kharkov himself will suffer from this, no? I see, Robert Jordan had said, and because I make jokes sometimes, and you know how dangerous it is to make jokes, even in joke.
Yeah.
So, the terror that took place in Russia, yes, is represented in this dialogue with Kharkov, yes, how dangerous it is to make jokes, even in joke. Wow.
But maybe what they wanted to remark is that the enemy is not assassinated because the human part of the act is erased, no? And they take the enemy as something that you have to destroy.
Yes.
For the good of the state, the revolution.
Assassination is more personal.
Yes.
Destroy the enemy is something general, but assassinate is.
Yes, that's why they don't see the human part of the enemy.
No.
Yes.
He calls them dregs of humanity. You understand dregs? The word dregs?
No.
Son residuos. Lacras, restos.
Dregs es lo que queda, por ejemplo, en el café, ¿viste? La borra.
Escoria también.
¿Cómo?
Escoria. Claro, lo que queda, la basura.
Sí, dregs es eso, sí, es lo que queda de algo, ¿sí? Por ejemplo, del café y la borra. Restos. Pero es lo que se tira, es lo que no se usa.
No se usa, claro.
And the thing of the joke is represented in a movie that they are making jokes, and one of the members of the government is fired because of that. because of the joke.
You say a movie about the Russian.
Yes, I think it was La vida de los otros. La vida de los otros is in
yeah.
the
It's a wonderful film.
Excellent film, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I don't
And-
remember that.
And